she's a DJ. That's awesome. She plays the flute.
Yes.
She's a singer. She's an entrepreneur. She does.
Yes.
You're a woman of many hats.
I try.
Yeah. So I said, wow, she seems really interesting. She seems like a really a hustler, and I wanted to reach out to you to hear your story because it's amazing. Today, one of the things it's when you look back as far as like DJs for the last 20, 30 years, there hasn't been that many women DJs.
I know.
So in the last few years, in the last 2 to 5 years, there's been women DJs really making an impact. And anytime I see a woman picking up the tables or really playing, I get excited. I'm like, yes, we need more women out there to DJ. So it's exciting. It's really exciting for me to see that. So
thank you for supporting me and for having me today. And I really appreciate it.
Welcome to the show. Your name is Emily. However, your DJ name is DJ Handmaid, correct?
Exactly. And the reason why I have this name is because it came to me in a dream, and it came to me in the sense of not like a maid of like a person, but a maid of the craft. So that I'm like serving the DJ booth. I'm serving the production. I'm serving that. So it came to me in that sense, not like the TV show either, but it just kind of clicked to me like, because when I play the piano or play the flute, I'm using my hands so much. And then when I'm on the deck, I'm using my hands so much. And I was like, I'm the handmaid. So that's where it came from. Plus I like to do things my own way, kind of like made by hand, almost, to use that side of it, like handmade, like a handmade quilt or something. Because I actually think of DJing as kind of quilting songs together, like patches of things. So that's where all that symbolism is for.
Cool. That's awesome. I love the analogy of the quilt. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm from Alabama, and quilting goes back in my family a long time. We actually have some of those really old quilts that are like 100 years old, where people would, where the women would sit together with patches, just of clothing, because they had to make their own clothes. Because my family on my dad's side were farmers, and so they lived in very small communities where that was like a part of their life, where they would come together and quilt, especially the women. So we have some of those really old quilts at home, and every time I'm DJing, I just feel reminiscent of those quilts, like, because some of them are, they don't match some of them. Some people might think they're ugly, but I appreciate them because I feel like they're just so unique, and they did the best with what they had, and I appreciate that.
Wow, that is so cool. That's awesome. Wow.
So that's where the name comes from, really. Goes deeper into my history.
Right. And it's really unique. I love that. I love to know the history behind that. That's so cool. I love that.
Thank you.
So how'd you get into DJing? Tell me your story. How'd you get into it? What really, took you there?
To be honest, one of my friends really pushed me.
Really?
And I'm so thankful to him. His name is Francesco Sparcello. He's a producer in Italy, and I've collaborated on a couple songs with him as a singer. And he really told me, you have the personality, and you have the musical background, because I'm classically trained. As you know, I play flute, and I went to Juilliard, and I play piano, and I sing. And he was like, you have the tools. You just need to jump into it. Go for it. Because he knew I had interest in it, because I was performing as a singer around LA, and I was having to kind of like sort of DJ my own sets, where I had my karaoke tracks and stuff, and I didn't have all the tools necessary to do it at the level I really wanted to do. And he was like, you just need to dive into it. You can do it. I believe in you. And he's like, just go for it. And he just kept telling me on Instagram, like every day. This was back in 2018. And then eventually I did it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to face my fears that I don't know anything about how to do the tech side of this, but I'm going to be patient. I'm going to use my methodical way that I've always been with practicing my instruments, and just being super diligent. And I dove in. I asked people tons of questions, and I hired one of my friends, Jeff the Jacker, who's also he's like a tech house DJ, to teach me. I was like, I need you to teach me. So he would come over to my apartment, and he would bring his gear, and he would teach me. This was back in 2018 in the summer. And I kind of just dove in, as hardcore as I could. Like I said, I took all of that discipline that I've developed as an instrumentalist and a singer, and applied it. Like I spent at least 6 months just watching YouTube tutorials, really learning the craft of beat matching and understanding what sounds good with something else. How can I blend something? And also finding my own taste. So I had no idea what genre I was going to DJ. And I mostly sang house music, to be honest with you. Most of the tracks I've been as a singer have been in that 120 to 130 BPM range. And they're more pop oriented. And I literally had no idea what I was going to be gravitated towards as an actual DJ performer on a stage. And I just was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it. And my friends were sending me stuff. My friend Jeff gave me a USB with like 30 gigabytes of music, all the way back from like early 2000s. And he said, listen to all of this music and make yourself what you want. Go with your gut. Pick out songs you like from this. And I spent like 5-6 hours a day for at least 2 months listening to this USB he gave me while I was doing work, while I was doing other things, listening to some really, really old stuff, even, Britney Spears remixes, stuff that I'm not into, but I listen to all of this. Just to
listen to everything, to find out where you'll fit in, okay. That's awesome.
To so much music. It was like, and I would write him on Instagram like, dude, I can't believe you have this remix from like, there's some really weird ones. Like there were some from Nirvana and stuff that I wasn't expecting. And then I would take some ones that I was like, wow, this is so unique. And I would do mashups with other things. And that was how I started kind of building traction on Instagram. I was doing mashup videos. And then one of them that I did got attention from DJing Mag, and they nominated me as one of the top female DJs in the world. And that kind of like got a lot of people's attention, and they were like, okay. And it was just because I was doing mashups all the time. I was taking mashups of like genres that had nothing to do with each other, and people were enjoying it.
Awesome. Wow. That's incredible. And this was a few years ago. This was
just a few years ago. Honestly, And it's mostly, everything went so fast because I put so much time into it. Like every waking moment that I wasn't working on my regular work, I was doing research on DJing. So if I was at a coffee shop, just 5 minutes, I was getting a coffee. I was watching Martin Garrix. I was watching Laid Back Luke. Every single second. It was like, whoo, okay.
Wow. Okay. You really put in the work. You really did research and watched a lot of videos, and that's awesome. So what would you say would be your genre today? Or is it a mix of one or two, or?
I am really, really finding that love of bass music, anything with heavy bass that harkens back to metal music and rock, which is something I love very much. So anything that's bass driven, going all the way from different tempos, like mid tempo. I love Rez, I love Whipped Cream, but all the way till Skrillex, and I love dubstep, and I love heavier things. I have DJ'd trance, I have DJ'd techno, and I have DJ'd house. But for some reason, my personality just gets more into like grittier, heavy, intense, like where it's almost nasty. And then where there's some beauty. I like the dichotomy of beauty and nastiness because I feel it shows really the way I view the world, where there's both good and bad. And I like to put them right next to each other.
That is awesome. So because when you look at dubstep, it's really bassy. It's really gritty.
Yes.
You almost feel it so much when that bass hits. It's like, oh.
Yes. And I love that. I became so gravitated towards that, going to shows and being in the audience, watching more famous people when they're DJing. And then I started integrating the flute. I got really into Timmy Trumpet, and he's been a huge supporter and sweet guy to me. And I just really, really love the way that he integrates the trumpet into his sets. So last year, I decided to switch from my name, Veronica River, which was also my singing project, and do the Handmaid project, which involves the flute as a completely integral part of the DJ set.
It's interesting because it's interesting you mentioned Timmy Trumpet. When I first seen him perform, he had a really unique way, and it was almost perfect the way he incorporated the trumpet with his set. It was a flawless incorporation.
Yes.
Where when I first seen him get on stage and he grabbed the trumpet, I have to admit, I was, oh my God, really? You're going to use a freaking trumpet? Oh, that was my first reaction to it. Like, bro, get back on the decks. What are you doing? And then I started listening. To the music that he was playing and incorporation with the trumpet. And I was like, wow. It blew me away.
Beautiful. It's really
beautiful.
beautiful.
It blew me away. It was amazing. The set just really made a big impact on me when I seen him perform. Amazing.
Yeah, the same for me. Last summer when I saw his set at Perukaville online, I was watching it. I was just blown away, and I completely changed my idea of what I could do as a performer. And I want to integrate my singing with DJing too. And that's my next thing that I'm going to venture into. And I want to create live tracks. And I'm messing around with the looping part of Ableton a lot, the looper function. And that's my next thing that I really want to dive into, which might actually be a little bit more of a techno type thing. But I think there's somehow techno and bass that have some kind of marriage somewhere. And I'm trying to find that, where there's this live element that you can bring from techno, because I love techno. I went to Chris Liebing and at the Sound, and I loved everything he was doing because I felt like we were all living there together, seeing something that could never exist anywhere else. And that's something I think that is missing from some bass music sets, because a lot of it is pre-recorded. So I want to bring that live, like you don't know what's happening moment to the bass music scene.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, because there is a lot of pre-recorded sets out there to bring something that's more live and something where it's very minimal recording, maybe a loop set where you're able to incorporate more live music with that incorporation with that loop set. I think it's really creative, and it's as far as the entertainment value, it's on top.
Yeah, and that's what I love about DJing, is that we can create this moment between us, the DJ, and the audience that is never experienced anywhere else. And you have to be there to live with it. And we're all in it together. And it's like this tribal kind of primal thing that is so incredible. And I value it so highly. And I think it's so important to connect people and to create vibrations that are positive. And that's part of why I want to do that.
That's awesome. And before you got into DJing, you were a singer. You were singing, correct? You were singing on house tracks? Is that what it was?
Yeah, tons of house tracks, and people were remixing them in different genres: progressive house, future bass, just a lot of things in the 120 to 130 range. And that was like where I was really focused on kind of trying to harken back to some of that David Guetta meets Sia kind of vibes. That I love that kind of music. Even a little Lady Gaga kind of inspiration, where there's an electro sound, but it's also a pop track. But the electronics are very much a part of like what those tracks are, or even like Skrillex with Justin Bieber on the Purpose album, like stuff that I think was really well done with electronics was what I was focused on for a couple years as a singer. Like I just dove into that, and then that's how I became a DJ, after knowing so many other DJs that I would work with. So I would collaborate with people online and send them the vocals, and then they would mix it into their production in whatever country they lived in. I worked with people all over the place, but now I've put a pause on that and just focusing on my own productions and my own stuff, because I'm trying to catch up to, get up to that level where I can create a track that I'm super, super proud of. So I've been doing remixes as a method of like really practicing that craft on Ableton. And I've been taking Mr. Bill's The Art of Mr. Bill. He's a dubstep like glitch guy, and his production stuff is very, very useful for learning.
It's interesting, because now that you're kind of going over your story, you're almost in a sense a triple threat, because now you can DJ, you can sing, you can play the flute.
Yeah.
So I could see that sometime in the future, once you get a handle of the production and creating your own music,
Yes.
you don't have to reach out to the singer because you're the singer. You don't have to reach out to the flute person. You can create your own sound, your own vocals, and it's you don't really have that many people out there that have the ability to do all three, which is really unique.
I would say Alice in Wonderland is someone I would look up to as someone who has kind of done her own productions and sang on her own tracks.
Right,
She plays
right.
cello.
Right.
I look up to her a lot for what she does, and you know, that's really the direction I'm kind of like wanting to do it all myself. I might need some help with certain things. Like I might have to have somebody help me with some mixing, mastering to make it even better.
Right.
But I do know how to mix and master on my own. But it's one of those things where I'm not somebody who's an expert, so I don't really mind if I outsource some things to someone. I know there's all this debate about ghost producing and stuff. I think that if you have someone who helps you with your mix and master, it's not like they're changing your product. It's they're enhancing it because that's like their area of expertise. And I think that there's something wonderful about someone who focuses on that, and they are an artist in their own right. I'm more of the creative side of like, I am going to make this whole track from scratch, but do I know all of the technical things? No, I do not, but I'm a performer, and I can bring things to life that maybe a mix and master person could enhance as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
And were you, how long did you get into singing? Was that something that came years ago as well, or?
Long time. So
really?
I'm from Alabama, and a big part of the culture where I'm from is to sing. And like I said, my family's been in Alabama a long time, and the gospel singing has always been part of like my family. And so that was something as a child I was brought up singing, even in just the car, like constantly singing, even a cappella as a family, clapping and singing, just like really, really folksy kind of stuff. And my mom's side is from Ireland, her grandfather, and in the Irish culture, it's really, really big to sing these old Irish tunes and stuff. So literally since I was like 4 or 5 years old, I started singing, and it was never like to become a famous singer. It was just an expression of the culture where I'm from, and we were involved with church like every Sunday. And honestly, I didn't know what church was. I thought we went there to sing. That's how much singing was part of it. I was like, oh, we're going to church, we get to sing. That's how in a kid, my kid mind.
Right.
I was in the choir.
That's cool. Oh, we're going to sing. We're not going to church. We're going to sing.
That's why I went.
Right. It's like, what is all this praying? Let's get.
I didn't know what was the point of it because we were just standing up and sitting down and standing up and sitting down and singing.
Right. Oh, that is hilarious. Can we get on with the praying? Can we get on with the praying?
I wanted to sing more.
I wanted to sing. Oh, that is hilarious. That's awesome.
But it was really good for me because I sang so much that, it takes practice. So I got comfortable. I was in the choir, of course, in the church too. So we had rehearsals and stuff. But that got me used to getting up in front of people. I mean, our church had like 500 to 1,000 people every Sunday. So it wasn't like weird for me to be in front of all these people. It was like, oh, that's normal. I do it every single week. I mean, and that, now that I look back on it, that was really a special training for me because I know a lot of producers and DJs that are so shy when they're DJing that would be scary for them. Like, ooh, I have a concert. I've never gone in front of this many people before. But for me, since age 5, I was just thrust on the stage that way.
On the stage, yeah.
It's just singing. Go up and sing and play the flute. I would play the flute with the choir too.
That is
just
awesome.
normal. Just like go up there.
Yeah. So that's great. I mean, you did it at a young age. So, but you're absolutely right. There's a lot of DJs right now that are a little shy. Exactly.
Yeah.
So to be able to experience what you went through at a young age, it's great. It's awesome.
And everyone was so supportive. I was a kid. I mean, how can you not be supportive of a kid who's singing? I mean, it's like you'd have to be pretty mean. So I was, I got through all
on stage with the flute, right? You're like, oh yes, we're proud of you. Do it.
Yeah, exactly. I had a lot of encouragement. So even though if I wasn't that great when I was little, I practiced so much that I got better and better. And it's just like a part of where I'm from. People sing like constantly. I don't know what it is about Alabama and singers, but I know like American Idol has had so many winners from like the town I'm from. I'm from Birmingham. I think there's been 3 or 4, which is crazy actually, because it's such a small place, honestly.
3 or 4? That's crazy. 3 or 4 in the same city? Wow.
In the same city, which it has less than 1 million people. Yeah. And honestly, when you leave the city borders, it's just farmland. Yeah. It's just beautiful farms. Yeah. It's just like, That's all it is.
Yeah. I've been there a few times. Yeah, beautiful farmland. Yeah. So tell me about Ape. You have a talent group, right?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that. Apex Talent Group. What's that all about?
That has been my main project for my work for the past 9 years with my husband. We started in 2011.
Cool.
And we initially started representing just actors. Cool. And it was just, a passion of ours to help actors because we live in LA, and that's honestly what's really big here, to be really honest. Sure. And we've had great, amazing success with it. And we recently started managing the DJs as well, really as an outshoot of this huge passion that I personally have of it, and wanting to give back to the DJ community all the knowledge that we've had from all the things we've gone through with, networks and big movies and just everything. It really correlates right over with how to help an artist develop their career as a musician too. So it's been really fun. We have two wonderful artists right now that we're managing. Notorious Chris, who's from Brisbane, Australia. He just had a release on Brong Family. I'm so proud of him. He's only 19.
What? 19? That's awesome.
I know. It's amazing what he's been able to do at such a young age. And he has an EP coming out that we've been working on, a 4-song EP that we've been helping him with. And I think it's going to be really big for him. And Mark Antonex is also a young guy, 20. He just went to Icon Collective, and he's honing in on his sound, which is more of like a progressive kind of house sound, more of like Amsterdam sound. Cool. And so we're trying to connect him with all of those labels there and try to get the right one for hopefully maybe Martin Garrix's label. That's what we're really hoping for, to kind of launch him with the European kind of scene. So we're really like diving deep with these two guys, and we're super excited about what we can do to help them. Like I said, because the knowledge that we've had from the actors really crosses over with the musicians, and it's pretty much the same, like the way that you have to work on things and be diligent and on top of every little thing. And like, it's really all the same. It's just a different kind of art.
It's different kind of art, but they're artists. Yes. You're an actor, whether you're a musician or a DJ, it's almost the same as you mentioned.
It's almost the same, and we have musical theater singers, and right now I'm trying to pair up some of them with our two producers to collaborate to make some amazing music together, where the singers are writing the top line and writing the lyrics, and then our producers are writing the track. So that's been a huge goal of mine, is to use even the actors we have that sing really well and use them with the music division and bring these people together that are experts in their area. And then you put them together, and it's just like amazing what they can do together. So that is something we're working on right now with a couple singers we have, because we have people who have been on Broadway. We have people that have been on major tours as singers. Cool. So it's amazing to be able to have all these resources at one company, and plus to work with my husband, which I love him very much. So it's been wonderful to work with him for 9 years on Apex.
That is great. That's great to work with your husband so close, because you know what they say. It's like you work with your husband in your own company. Sometimes it could get a little crazy, like you know what I mean. So I've heard that from other friends that are married, and to have that relationship, it's great. You guys work together. It's your baby. It's something that you guys are developing.
Exactly, it is our baby.
Yeah, it's your baby. You're kind of growing together. So that's freaking amazing. That's awesome.
We're very different. Our personalities are very different. So we don't clash. I think where married couples might clash is where they might be both the same. Like they might both be type A, where they both think they're right. But I'm more of like that chill, calm person who is not the first one to like push on anything. I'm more of like, let me sit back and like observe before I say something. And I think that's the secret for the success with the marriage. If both people are aggressive, it's not going to be good.
That is some good advice for everyone listening out there who are married and have a business with their partner or their husband or wife.
It's like slow down, listen to what the person has to say before you just jump right out with like a conclusion, right? And you might be wrong too. That's the other thing. You have to think in your head, well, maybe I am wrong. I know I think I'm right, but there is a 50% chance I might be wrong. That's the hard thing in marriage in general, right? To admit, oh, you know what? I was wrong about that.
You just gave some great marriage advice to a lot of people out there.
I hope it can help someone, because in quarantine we're around our loved ones a lot. So you really have to make the most of it, and you have to look inside yourself and analyze yourself too, and go, hey, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Let me be honest about that right now.
Right. And you know what? And that's really hard to do for anyone to do. Kind of look at themselves and say, wait, this is where I'm weak. This is where I can adjust or, work on something,
Oh yeah. And even getting criticism or feedback from your husband.
Yeah.
Or your wife can be hard. I totally get it, but you have to think, this person loves me and they want the best for me. So I'm going to really listen to what they have to say, and take it like, I'm going to breathe and I'm going to take it in right now. And then don't talk immediately and be like, you know what, give me 5 minutes. I'm going to think about this. If people would do that, I think it would shut down a lot of the big fights that happen with couples.
Good point. So you just mentioned COVID. How has COVID affected
our industry? So the live sector, big shutdown, like Broadway and touring, and as a DJ, it's all closed right now. In New York, we've been in touch with the theaters there, and they are not opening in this year. They're going to open next year. We are. Yeah, this whole year is completely closed because they can't figure out how to properly work with the union. Okay. So there's a union called Equity. So they're trying to figure out how can we abide by those rules to make this union happy. And whenever you have a union involved, then there's like 1,000 lawyers involved. Right. So then that's the issue. And with SAG, it's kind of the same thing. That's the union for the actors for on television. They're still working out, like, how are we going to really do this? Like, how are we going to keep everyone safe? So we're all kind of waiting. A lot of projects are supposed to be shooting next month. They're supposed to be. So we'll see if they actually are going to be allowed to go onto set. We've had a couple people work on like print jobs. So it was just like a photographer and the model, and that was it. And you can socially distance with that. So that has been going on. Voiceovers have been going on because at home you can have a setup like I have right here, and the actor can record the voiceover. Right. They're taking the sound of the voiceover actor, and they're using it. The animators are working on the projects at their home. So the voiceover market has gone way up. We did just book a big feature film with a voiceover artist that we have, and I can't say what it is, but a huge actors in it, and we're so excited about it. So that's been going on. And then there's been a lot of things where people work at home and they have to shoot their own commercial themselves. At home? At home. No way. They have to shoot their own commercial. So they have to take their cell phone, and we have to help them with try to use a ring light or something and do this and do that. And they take the footage of the actor themselves at their home, and they're using it for real TV commercials. So the actor's the director with the phone. Yes. In a sense. Wow. Exactly. And they do get a little bit more pay for that because they don't have a crew. Sometimes they've been sending some money for hair and makeup because some people have been having to hire someone to come to their house. So they're like, okay, we'll send you this for hair and makeup. Right. And then we'll give you instructions how to film it yourself. So it's been a really interesting thing. But in general, it's shut down 95% of everything COVID. But we're just trying to plan for the future. So there's all these projects that are supposed to start filming that we've been working on and trying to get people, booked on those and connected with those projects. So, and the same with our DJ. Luckily, our DJ's Chris, he is in Australia, and they are allowing him to play a show. So he has his first booking in 6 months that's about to come up. So in Australia, their numbers are not as bad. Not at all. They're in a different, complete situation than here. So it's true. Just like New Zealand, they're completely open at this point in New Zealand, at least. Exactly. We're hoping maybe he'll be allowed possibly to go there to play too, because there is no COVID there. So, and it's not that far. He can take I think it's like a 3-hour flight. So he might be able to go there and play because he's in Brisbane. So that's basically what's been happening. And Richard and I are making the most of this time, trying to catch up on old episodes of shows that we always wanted to watch, but we never had time to watch. Old things that we love, like The Office. I'm a huge fan of The Office. So we were like, let's just go back to season 1 of The Office and let's go through the whole thing. Let's watch the whole thing from the beginning. And I love Dwight. He's one of my favorite characters, and he just makes me laugh. Like everything that character does makes me laugh. So it brings me joy to watch him.
What season are you in right now?
We're on season 3, episode 19.
3. Okay. Wow, you both have been working those episodes.
And apparently they're going to have a 10th season. They are apparently going to have one.
Really?
They just did negotiations, and we'll see. And some of the main characters might come back. And I will be so excited because NBC is going to have their own streaming platform. So that's going to be the carrot they dangle. Like, you have to go our streaming platform, but if you do, you get to watch the new season of Office, and they're pulling The Office from Netflix. So
I think it would be great if both you and your husband finished the 9th season as soon as the 10th season's about to end.
I would be so excited about that. Yeah, that's what we're hoping. Yeah, but maybe by the end of the year, because it's supposed to happen next year.
Right.
What's been going on with filming is a lot of sets have been going out of the country. So a lot of the places that they're hiring people right now, Vancouver is a hotspot right now. They're planning to do a ton in Vancouver and in London. Cool. So we're like, everyone get your passports right now. We're like rushing everyone, get your passport. Because everything's going out of LA right now because of COVID. Right.
So. Everything is completely shut down. Yeah. Absolutely. And before the shutdown, you were actually playing at different gigs. What gigs were you playing?
So many.
In and around LA or out of state or?
Yeah, I was playing a lot of gigs at the Catch One nightclub and also at the Avalon. So I was doing a lot of support for big artists at the Avalon, and they were having me do all kinds of genres, which I really didn't mind. Right. Now I'm more focused on the dubstep bass music, so I only am taking bookings for that, which is better actually for Catch One. The sound, the stereos there and everything is just amazing for bass music. The setup they have. And Avalon, I love the club because of the balcony, and it's huge.
Great club.
The setup of the Avalon, it's so spacious, and then you have so many different areas where there can be DJs, like at the Pioneer stage and then the main stage. Yeah. Then there's the upstairs Bardot room, and then there's this secret room kind of off the stage, which usually has techno. So that's where I was frequenting a lot, almost every weekend, going to see friends and also performing there and supporting a lot of bigger acts, which was amazing. And I was so honored to do that. Catch One was more like underground, like kind of stuff that I was involved in, where I was the headliner, where it was like the local scene, which I also love because it's a totally different flavor. Right. But Avalon, Avalon's like they bring out the big guns, like famous people are performing there, and then there's the local artists that are supporting them. Yeah. Catch One is like a smaller vibe, and then there's a lot of promoters that are like getting into the scene themselves almost, and they're promoting their own events at Catch One. So it's kind of a cool thing too. I always like to be part of the beginnings of things. It feels exciting. Like, when everyone's starting out and then you see some people hit really big like a year later and you're just like, wow, I was part of that. It was cool. Right. So that's what I feel like right now.
Right. That's gotta be exciting. Wow. I was there in the beginning and that person just shot up.
Yeah. We've seen it happen with the actors. So we know what the vibe of that is. It's pretty exciting when you're like, yesterday no one knew you and now you're on a billboard. How crazy is that? Right.
That is crazy. Wow. Wow. So how long have you and your hubby managed or started your talent agency? It's been a few years or 10 years?
Started it in 2011.
Okay. Wow.
So it's been about 9 years.
Wow. That's okay. That's right. Okay.
And before that, he was an agent. So he took a lot of knowledge from his agency experience before we started our management company.
Genius. Yeah. To work as an agent and then start your own. Genius.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. It's always better. And I would say that for anyone who's like an entrepreneur or even a young person coming out of college as in business or something, you should definitely work for someone else for a while before you just like start your own thing, because there's so many things you need to learn. So why don't get a little experience? Because I know a lot of young people want to just skip steps.
They do.
20-year-olds, they're like, I want to skip right to here and be the CEO. There is a small chance that you could hit it huge, especially in management with an artist. That artist could just like completely blow up overnight, like a Post Malone type situation or something. Right. But you might not even know how to really help them. So maybe you should work for someone for like a year at least to kind of know how to
The
help this
process,
person.
right? To learn that process, right?
Once that artist becomes really famous, you're going to really need to be knowledgeable. That artist needs to lean on you for your knowledge. And if you have no knowledge, then what's going to happen is going to be a lot of mistakes.
And the artist will leave.
They could, or they could, be upset with you, and you guys could have issues between your relationship.
Right.
So you don't really want that. You want to be prepared. So if you are wanting to be a manager, you need a little experience, and then go for it.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. What's your goal in the next few years? Is it to kind of get into the production side of it? Is that kind of like where you're headed towards?
So my biggest goal right now is to launch a record label side of our management company.
Ooh,
I already came up with a name. It's called Vision Bolt Records, and I already made a website and everything, and I'm just waiting for the right song. And then when we do, we're going to just slam it out right from the right artist, or it could be someone we manage, or it could be someone that I find on SoundCloud or somewhere. Cool. And that's the next big thing that I want to do, is have Apex Talent Group, but also Vision Bolt Records, and support the EDM community through having the record label. And I want to have hopefully performances through that, just kind of like Deadbeats, where they have performances of their artists and they are really involved with helping promote those artists. Right. I want to go that route. I possibly might want to have a podcast too, where I can talk to people and have them guest mix and just go from there, and maybe even have some performance nights where in LA we push those our label people, and hopefully one day even connect on a bigger level, like at ADE or Miami Music Week, stuff like that, where we can have people come and it's like Vision Bolt Records take over, and it's like all the artists and everything. I would love that. And maybe even a festival one day, because you have to dream big. You have to say, these are my dreams. And then if you can even do a couple of them, it's better than not saying those dreams. Right. Yeah.
Right. If you have 10 dreams and you're able to do 3 or 4, that's great.
That's great. Exactly. You have to just put it out there, because when we started our company too, everyone laughed at us. Everyone thought we were never going to amount to anything, right?
Really? The talent agency? They're like, no, it's not going to work. You guys, what are you guys doing?
Friends, family, people in our inner circle. But now they're just like shocked. Right. And that's kind of why I realized that you have to put your dreams out there, because you have to go for it. Yeah. And don't worry about what anybody else says. And there's always going to be the naysayers. There always will be. And that's their own mentality. That doesn't have to be the reality of your life. That's them. So.
Wow. That's really profound what you just said. So
thank you.
And it's true. It's, I love those goals for the next 5 years. That's great. You have all these different goals. What freaking drives you? You have so much drive and so much passion for this industry.
It's the vibration. I'm really into positive energy. Awesome. And something about the scene and the experience. Number one, going to the clubs, experiencing it, the festivals, conferences even, because I went to ADE, and it was just such an incredible experience to be with all these people that we all have this common thread that we love this music. So that love and that shared connectivity of like, wow, we all love this. It brings us all together, no matter where we're from, what language we speak, how old we are, anything. It's just like taking out all of that stuff. It's all about the music. That's what drives me. And I just love it. I want to do everything I can to support it and bring it to the top.
That's awesome. What kind of advice can you give somebody who wants to get their feet wet and DJ? Because you just took some advice from somebody. You should be a DJ, and you just did it. You just learned on your own. What kind of advice can you give somebody that wants to do it? Maybe there's a girl out there that says, you know what, I want to DJ. I just don't know. I don't know how to do it, or I don't know. What kind of advice can you give them?
If that person is really in love with this music, they should go for it 100,000%. Don't listen to anybody's negative comments or thoughts or anything. Just focus on the fact that you love it. My big technical piece of advice is to get yourself a inexpensive mixer to start with. You know, you don't need to spend $10,000 on the top of the line. I think that kind of scares a lot of people when they first start. They're like,
so true.
Oh, I saw a CDJ. It cost, you know, $6,000, or the mixer costs $4,000. And then they're like, oh, and then I need speakers, and I need headphones, and I need this, and I need that. And they're like adding it up, and they're like, that's impossible. How am I going to do that? I'm going to take out a small loan or something. So just to start. Just to start with, get a mixer that's pretty inexpensive. You could get one at Pioneer. You get a DDJ RB, and it comes with record box, so that you have the software and you have the mixer, and sit at home with your laptop and practice beat matching, and just keep practicing. Think about keys that you're wanting to relate. So if you have a song that's in G, probably don't want to have one in F sharp right next to it. It might be a little dissonant, or you know, something weird might come out of it. So do a little music theory knowledge, know your circle of fifths, so that you can really like mix things and blend them a little bit more smooth. And just watch a lot of live streams right now, because you can pick up things from other people that are masters at their craft. Go on YouTube, let those YouTube tutorials fill you with inspiration. And just another big thing for me is setting a schedule. So I'm all about like setting these intentions like every day. And it could be so small. It could be like, today I'm going to watch a 5-minute tutorial.
Okay, small goals each day. Tiny.
Small. And as they go, they build. And honestly, that could be applied to anything. It could be applied if you wanted to be a doctor, an architect, a lawyer, whatever. How do you get to that end goal of getting your certification or your degree or whatever? It's not like you did it all in one day. It's impossible to do that. So don't put that pressure on you. Just be like, every day is part of this journey, and I'm going to enjoy it. Every time I learn something new, I'm going to pat myself on the back and be like, I didn't know how to do that, and now I do, and I'm so proud of myself. So you have to reward yourself. You have to. You can't beat yourself up through the process. Like, oh, so-and-so, like compare. So-and-so did this so much faster than me, or I am not good at this. And that self-deprecating stuff, it's going to eat you up. Tell yourself, I'm great. I am smart. I'm powerful. I'm going to do anything that I want to do. I believe in myself. If you tell yourself that, like literally tell yourself, go in the mirror and talk to yourself that way, there's nothing going to stop you.
That's true. Yeah. And like you said, if you have 10 dreams, if you just move forward toward all those 10 dreams, you may not get 10, but you may get 4, you may get 5. So, and
there might be some that come out of nowhere. That's something also I experienced. You're on this path, and then something just comes to you, and it clicks fast. And that's kind of what DJing was for me. I really never thought when I was a kid, or even like 4 years ago, I was going to become a DJ. I really never did. But I always have kept this open mind that there's always something in my future that might be better than my present circumstance.
And how was that first experience? Because you watch videos, you watch tutorials, you found inspiration with so many DJs out there. At what point, was it 6 months, was it a year, where you said to yourself, you know what, I think I'm ready. I want to go play in front of people. At what moment did that happen, and how did you get your first gig, and how did that feel? I
didn't really instigate my first gig. It came to me.
Really? Okay. Cool.
The power of Instagram at the time, through my Veronica River project, I had about 20,000 followers. Cool. I was trending a lot with my mashup videos.
Nice.
They were getting 700 to 1,500 views. Awesome. Because I was, again, doing something just purely out of the love of it and the curiosity of it. And I guess other people had never seen a mashup of different genres like I was doing. So it piqued different people's attention. It piqued the attention of a promoter here. His name's Justin. He runs a thing called EMX. And he really loves grunge music, because himself, in his own life, he was in a grunge band. He is a DJ, but he was in a grunge band back in the day. He was a drummer. So because I was integrating grunge with bass music a lot, I was taking Nirvana and other elements. He invited me to open at one of his things that he was doing at Catch One. So I had the 9 o'clock slot, which as a DJ, everyone knows the 9 o'clock slot, there's no one there, right?
That's why I'm laughing.
I was so excited though. I was beyond excited. I was like, this is it. Okay, I'm going to be pushed onto the stage now.
Right.
So I was very nervous. And I practiced like crazy. I'd say preparations the week beforehand, 4 to 6 hours a day. I would run through my entire set for my husband, and he would give me criticisms, which, like I said, is hard to take, but I was open to taking any ideas I had. That he had. Cool. I also was sending mixes to my friends and saying, what do you think about these mixes? I was on Mixcloud and then sending DMs to my DJ friends that were way more experienced to me. Please give me your honest feedback. And they would tell me, at 5 minutes here, you need to work on your transition. Here, you need to do that. You need to be careful. You need to set up this. Maybe you should try and echo here. Maybe you should loop this part. So it's people were giving me feedback, and I was taking that feedback.
That's awesome.
And then when I got up to perform, because I had practiced so much, I was on autopilot. I can't even remember the performance at all. I was literally just so in the groove with it. Really? It was a 45-minute set. The scariest part was the transition from me to the next DJ, which I have to say for any new DJ, it is scary because in the club, you're not supposed to let the music stop. Right. So you have to coordinate, and you need to speak to the person who comes on after you and talk about what you're going to do, because the audience is there. Like, you don't want to just look like everything's shut down and the CDJ's broke. Right. So how was that transition? It was amazing. Okay. And cool. my friend now, Devin, who went after me, I'm still friends with this guy till this day.
That's awesome.
And we've played a couple other shows together. That's how small the DJ community is. Was very kind. You know, he went up and whispered to me, like, what's your last BPM? What is the tempo that you're at? And we coordinated. And he was like, okay, I'm going to do this song because of that. And we stayed on stage for about 5 minutes together because he wanted to make that transition. And that's unusual. Usually it's just like a boom, boom thing. But he was very kind. I think he could tell I was nervous. So he was very kind to me. And I stayed on and made sure that it was like the seamless thing. And that's the thing about DJing that I think people in the audience don't know. That is a really scary part. It's kind of like at a relay race, and you're doing so great, and then you have to pass that baton, and if you drop it, then you're disqualified. No matter how fast you were running.
You dropped the baton. Right.
And that's where that moment when you're going from one DJ to the next, that can be scary. And I mean, I've never done a pre-recorded set, and I could imagine if you did a pre-recorded set, it would be really awkward transitioning from that into another DJ. But from my experience, because I've done a lot of clubs, they don't really want that. But I do see a lot of people on festival stages that do it because they're timing the explosions and the fire and the confetti, and they have to time everything. So what they do is they turn the music completely off in between one to the next person. But every show I've done in LA, they would kill me if the music stopped. They told me, I don't care what you do, but the music cannot stop. Just turn on anything. I don't care what it is. Loop the song for 10 minutes. I don't care what song it is. Right.
That is hilarious. Oh my God. That is so true. It's so hilarious. That the first time it's so stressful doing the transition to another DJ. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Wow.
Yeah.
So funny. Oh
yeah. My God. Especially when it's your, very first time in front of any human beings ever doing it. And my first time was an actual DJ thing. It wasn't like at a party or a wedding or it was like
actually a DJ.
I'm on the stage at Catch One and people had to pay to come to see me. Right. And so that was why I was like, I don't want to make a fool of myself, but I took it so seriously. That's probably why in the promoter, Justin had no idea it was my first time. Yeah. So if he did, he probably wouldn't have booked me.
Did you notice as the weeks or the months went by, your time slot went from 9 to 9:30 to 10 to 11 to 12?
Yes.
Did you notice that? Okay.
I actually
isn't that funny when it starts to go later? You're like, yes, oh yes, it's later, yes.
Yeah, I at the time, I when I first started, I didn't realize the impact of like what time you had. Right. And then now I've played enough shows where I have my perfect time that I like, depending on the club, depending on who's, if you're the headliner or if you're opening for the headliner or if you're in a certain room at the Avalon. I have like a lot of opinions, but when I first started, I had no opinions about it. I was just like, thank you so much. I'll do whatever. I'll play in the bathroom. Do you want me to play in the bathroom? Is there a CDJ there? Because I just wanted more time on the CDJ. I would have done anything. Seriously, I would have just stood on the stage and watched. Honestly, when I first started, I asked some DJs, "Can I just stand by you and look?" And they were like, "Absolutely not. That like you have to be on stage if you're performing. I can't just let you stand there." And I was so sad because I didn't really understand. And I was like, it would be really helpful if I could just like peer down at what you're doing. And they were like, no.
Get away from me. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Stop being weird.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's where I was at because I was just wanting to like soak everything up like a sponge.
Learn. Like learn everything. Learn as much as you can, and the best way of learning is just see somebody right there in front of you doing it.
Yeah, so I actually did kind of like I'm kind of friends with the EC twins, so I would go to some of their shows and just kind of stand behind them. They don't even know that. I would just be like, I would wear like really tall heels and just try to peer behind them at some of their gigs.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
They don't know that though. Now they might know, but
they do now.
Yeah, I would also take video, like I was actually like enjoying the show, but I was actually turning the camera really high up so that I could see what they were doing.
Oh, nice. It's like, oh, I think she's taking a selfie. No worries, like recording.
Yes.
That's actually kind of smart. That's genius, actually. That's a good way of capturing something without no one really caring. Like, oh,
that's what I did. And a lot of DJs like that because if you tag them on your socials, and it drives traffic to them, so they're like, oh yeah, take as many videos as you want or whatever.
Right. Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. That's awesome. Oh my God. So are you completely for this year? It looks like as far as any gigs you have will probably be next year as well. We really don't know. I
have no idea.
Yeah, honestly. We really don't know. Yeah.
I have no clue. I mean, there have been some friends of mine playing gigs at in the OC. Right. It's more of like a question of, do I want to be doing that to promote people coming together, and would my conscience feel bad?
Correct.
And honestly, my conscience would feel bad because it's too contagious right now.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, maybe by December it might be okay. I just have to see. I mean, I just don't want to be the cause of someone getting sick. I would feel so horrible to find out. And it's some of my friends that played at the OC a couple of weeks ago now have COVID. And I'm like, I wonder if it was because you were DJing with no mask on. Because I saw videos of them with no mask, and there's like 3 guys on stage. And I'm like, and the whole thing of touching the CDJs, everyone's touching it, and I know how it spreads, and it kind of makes me nervous. You can wear gloves, but my friends were not wearing gloves, so I kind of think that some things were passed around at that party in the OC. So I'm not personally doing it, and I know some people are doing parties at the beach, and then their rationale
I've seen some of the videos for parties at the beach. I'm like, oh,
yeah, and they're like, oh, it's safer because we're outside. But at the end of the day, I'm not a doctor, so I don't want to be the one who's like perpetuating these parties.
I don't know. I had a friend of mine that was just talking to his friend 2 feet away, and he got it from him.
There you go.
And he was completely against the masks, and he got it from him. So, and then with just the spikes in LA, it seems like we're getting more infections these days. At least more than February.
Yeah, it's just building, and I think 4th of July was such a time where people did have barbecues and come together, and I knew a lot of DJs that were having parties, private parties at houses and stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The scene has continued to go, but it's on the underground. There's been some parties at warehouses. Right. I haven't gone to any of them. I've been invited to some. I have to be honest. And I've been like, what are these people thinking? And I didn't go. And I'm not the kind of person who went and blasted them, but some of my friends even blasted those people on social media and was like, you shouldn't have had your party. And I think, a lot of promoters are just trying to make some money. There's been some secret desert parties. I know about them, but I have not partaken. And there have been some drive-in parties where there's drive-in movie things. So there are people doing things. I personally haven't. I've just been focusing on my production right now and using this as a time like, hey, this is a time for me to get through season 2 of Mr. Bill. This is a time for me to write my my stuff in the office. Yeah. But get through my production stuff and to better myself as a musician. And I've been doing some live streaming on Twitch. I've been partaking in some live streaming festivals on Twitch through different Twitch, accounts.
Cool.
And that's been fun for me. And I figured out how to do green screening. I'd never known how to do that.
Nice.
I took the opportunity to learn that. I got a green screen and I figured out how to do the video behind me with it. And
cool.
I'm just using this as like, okay, this is time to do all the things that I don't know how to do so that when this is over, I'm even more prepared. So I've been doing video editing. I made my own visuals so that when I come back to the club, I have visuals, and I didn't have visuals before. So those kind of things I've been trying to do.
That is so smart. Using this downtime to learn something that you just don't know how to do, green screen. Yeah. You can even dabble in production, learning some of that, learning the looping.
I'm learning the looping.
The looping is like what you mentioned.
Performing.
That's genius. That's genius.
Messing with the flute sound. So another thing I've been doing is trying to experiment with the flute with like more of an electronic flute sound. So I've made like some stuff on Ableton that I can route through OBS and then put reverb, put compression, put an amp on it and mess with it and just get really creative with it. So it's not just a straight flute sound, but I can make it sound like an electric guitar or something. So I've been messing with that a lot and it's been so cool. And my next live stream I will do that. I'm supposed to do a guest mix on Saturday. I don't have all the details yet too. So I've been doing those kind of things too for some radio channels. Cool. So this is a perfect opportunity to do those kind of things as a DJ. And that's what I've been doing. Yeah,
that is dope. I love that. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, where can people find you if they want to look for you online to check some of your live mixes online?
So I'm everywhere. I'm literally everywhere. TikTok, Triller. I'm on Mixcloud. I'm on Instagram. Just go to DJ Handmaid and you'll find me.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I just want to conclude it with you've been an inspiration. It was great to know your story. From being a DJ, singer, playing the flute.
I'll play the flute.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. I love it. You're a man. You're a woman of many hats. Yes. I loved it. Well, thank you so much for being a part of the show. You're an inspiration to every single woman out there that's trying to get an entertainment industry. And I have so much respect for your journey, for your path, and I wish you a lot of success, girl.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
And I can't wait until we open up so I can catch one of your shows.
Woo! Yes. High energy.
High energy.